Nicki was right about Roc Nation going bankrupt,
My overhead $250 million a year. We needed $40 million just to stay alive.
leaked home surveillance footage from July of 2023, founder of Roc Nation, Desiree Perez, confirmed everything Nicki Minaj was saying about the company possibly going bankrupt.
Issued a bunch of pardons. Desiree Perez, who is the CEO of Roc Nation.
Beyoncé was caught brushing elbows figuratively with Ivanka Trump and Jared Kushner. The fact that there are no ethical billionaires, y'all. Jay-Z is in real time working to push forward that project. Remember that one, right?
Beyoncé and Jay-Z have officially been spotted having dinner with the Trumps. When are we going to apologize to Nicki for being right?
So now, the internet is buzzing with fresh reports claiming Beyoncé is allegedly moving quietly behind the scenes, trying to shut Nicki Minaj out of the music industry and block her from dropping future albums altogether. And according to the chatter, this whole situation supposedly popped off after Nicki went full MAGA at a recent event alongside Erica Kirk, which raised a lot of eyebrows fast. But here's where things start getting messy. Nicki's fans are not buying that explanation at all. The Barbs are saying this isn't about politics, and instead it's about Nicki allegedly trying to expose what they believe are Roc Nation's questionable business moves, with some even throwing around the phrase Ryko-level problems, allegedly. They believe that's the real reason things suddenly turned icy. And the fans didn't stop there. They're also pointing out that Beyoncé and Jay-Z were recently spotted looking very comfortable with Ivanka Trump and her husband, allegedly tied to Jay-Z wanting to build a casino and push another wave of luxury development in New York. That detail alone has people asking questions. Then add this on top of everything. Trump was the same president who pardoned Roc Nation CEO Desiree Perez, which the Barbs say makes the political outrage look selective. Beyoncé did publicly support Kamala before, but since Trump returned to office, fans claim the Carters seem much quieter and more comfortable behind closed doors with the Trumps and the Kushners. So now, Nicki's supporters are asking the bigger question. How can Beyoncé and Jay-Z criticize Nicki when, in their view, they're just another ultra-rich power couple choosing profit over principles, allegedly staying silent while chaos unfolds elsewhere? That's the argument fans are pushing hard, which leads to an even bigger mystery. Did Nicki start leaning into MAGA because she allegedly caught wind that Roc Nation was trying to damage her career behind the scenes? Or is there another move happening that the public hasn't fully clocked yet? Because the timing of all this feels far too calculated to ignore, and it doesn't stop there. More reports are circulating claiming Beyoncé allegedly kicked off an industry freeze after it was announced she'll be co-chairing the 2026 Met Gala. One insider claimed Beyoncé made it clear that Nicki would not be welcome, allegedly issuing an ultimatum that Nicki couldn't attend if Beyoncé was involved. On top of that, there are claims Beyoncé has allegedly been warning industry insiders not to work with Nicki at all. Meanwhile, sources close to the Carters are pushing the narrative that Nicki praising Trump and aligning with Erica Kirk crossed a line. Fans are calling that narrative misleading, saying this isn't about politics at all, but about retaliation after Nicki allegedly went against Roc Nation and spoke too openly. At the center of all this controversy is Roc Nation CEO Desiree Perez. Back in 2021, Desiree received a presidential pardon from Donald Trump for her involvement in a 1994 conspiracy to distribute illegal substances.
Any of the people that Roc Nation co-founder Desiree Perez put in a federal penitentiary got released early, or if they were pardoned by Donald Trump.
And this wasn't some minor situation. Court records show she was caught with roughly 35 kilos and charged as part of an organized operation stretching from New York to Florida and Puerto Rico. Now, in cases like that, people don't usually just walk away, especially when it's not a one-time offense, but part of a larger network. That's why word on the street has long been that Desiree may have cooperated with federal authorities and allegedly provided information on others involved. Many articles covering this have since disappeared, but some receipts are still floating around, and there's an old cover story claiming Desiree wore a wire after federal agents arrested her. On top of that, a 2014 New York Daily News article, which has since been deleted, reportedly referenced a June 11, 1996 court hearing. According to that report, prosecutors told the judge they were satisfied with their cooperation from Perez. Assistant U.S. Attorney Lawrence Barfield allegedly stated that the defendant worked closely with these agents, while arguing that Perez should avoid jail time. What really gets people talking is what happened afterward. Despite all that history, Jay-Z later elevated Desiree to CEO of Roc Nation. That move alone is why Nicki's supporters believe there's far more tension and backstory here than what's ever been acknowledged publicly. And the controversy doesn't stop in the past. According to Nicki, Desiree has allegedly been involved in questionable situations even after becoming president of the company. The most recent involves Desiree's estranged daughter, Demare Hadley. Demare has filed a lawsuit accusing her mother of orchestrating an involuntary psychiatric commitment, claiming Desiree falsely portrayed her as mentally unstable. The lawsuit alleges Desiree took advantage of Florida's Baker and Marchman Acts to have her detained in a facility.
3 times to try to figure out how to institutionalize me. The first time was the incident on September 14th, 2023. She's trying to leave. She's not letting me leave. I had to call the police because she closed the electrical gate. She whispered in my ear, threatened me, called Javon the Nigger word, which I will not say, and tells me, if you don't do what I say, I'm going to have you committed. And away from that Nigger. She's hitting me, punching me from not hopping the gate. My poor dog. I'm trying to not drop my dog. Pinecrest police comes, forces her to open the door. And she tries telling them she's suicidal. And I'm like, what? So they separate everybody. They ask me questions. And they're like, nothing is wrong with this girl. You guys are holding her against her will. Help me call an Uber, document everything, and tell me I'm free to go. That was the first time.
Okay.
The second time was Dr. Rachel Bernstein at Iconic. And then Javon's arrest happened a week after. And then the third time that they were successful was the Marchman Act.
Demare also accuses Jay-Z of turning a blind eye, claiming Desiree allegedly used Roc Nation employees to monitor her daughter. That alone raised serious concerns. But it gets even darker. According to Demare's filing, she claims the real motive behind the alleged commitment wasn't concern for her health at all. Instead, she says Desiree launched a campaign against her after she married a black man, a claim that has added yet another disturbing layer to this already tangled situation. According to the lawsuit, Demare claims her mother made a chilling threat directly to her. She says Desiree told her, "I'm going to Baker Act you. If you stay with that racial slur, I will have you committed." That statement alone stopped a lot of people in their tracks. For context, Florida's Baker and Marchman Acts are laws that allow someone to be involuntarily taken in for mental health or substance evaluations under certain conditions. But these laws are highly controversial because they can strip someone of their freedom based on subjective judgments about their behavior. And here's the thing. If it weren't for Nicki bringing attention to this situation, most people would have never even heard about Demare's lawsuit against Desiree. The case received almost no mainstream media coverage at all. A lot of people still don't even know who Desiree Perez is or just how closely she's connected to Jay-Z, despite her past and the serious allegations tied to her name. Nicki calling attention to this situation has reportedly put Roc Nation's inner circle under a microscope. According to supporters, it forced conversations that powerful people may have preferred to keep quiet. And then things took an even darker turn. Demare later claimed that what allegedly happened to her is similar to what she believes is now happening to Nicki. Demare alleged that Roc Nation attempted to silence Nicki, went after her family, and even crossed lines involving her child. Those claims shook a lot of fans. Demare said she sees disturbing parallels between her experience and what Nicki is currently dealing with. She described the situation as frightening, adding that Roc Nation allegedly has far more behind-the-scenes power than the public realizes. Nicki herself later addressed the situation publicly on X. In a heated post, she pushed back against people questioning her credibility and referenced detailed claims already made public. She warned critics never to call her a liar or insinuate wrongdoing, adding that she believes anyone who played a role on what she called the wrong side will eventually face consequences.
Harder, investigate your team, investigate your management team. He hasn't addressed this not once. I understand it's not his business, but I think you should start looking into the people that you hire and the people that are involved in this, because if my freedoms were hindered and my civil rights were violated and I'm her daughter, then you need to be concerned as the second owner of this business to make sure that it's not happening currently to other
suit against Desiree because this didn't get any mainstream media coverage. Actually, a lot of folks out there don't even know who Desiree.
Nicki framed the situation as bigger than gossip, calling it a movie where every role matters and accountability is coming. And this is why Nicki's fans are saying this situation isn't just about Beyoncé being upset over political optics. In their eyes, this looks like retaliation mixed with exposure, a clash between industry power and someone refusing to stay quiet. When you step back and look at the bigger picture, this situation starts to feel less like random drama and more like a calculated standoff. Nicki's supporters believe she didn't just stumble into controversy by accident. In their view, once she began speaking openly and amplifying claims tied to Roc Nation and Desiree Perez, the response shifted from quiet tension to what they describe as a coordinated effort to isolate her. They argue that in an industry where relationships determine access, being frozen out doesn't require a public announcement. It just takes enough doors quietly closing at the same time. Fans also point out how fast the narrative flipped. Instead of discussions staying focused on the allegations themselves, attention shifted toward Nicki's political associations and public behavior. Supporters say that move conveniently reframed the story, painting her as reckless or divisive rather than someone calling out powerful figures. To them, it feels like a familiar strategy: distract from the claims by questioning the messenger. And once that happens, the original issue often gets buried under public debate and online chaos. What makes this situation feel heavier is the repeated theme of power imbalance. Roc Nation is not just a label, it's a business network with deep ties across music, sports, fashion, and media. That level of influence means consequences don't always look dramatic on the surface. Sometimes it shows up as silence, canceled opportunities, or sudden distance from collaborators.
Roc Nation, my mother Desiree Perez, all these law firms, Queen and Emanuel, Reed Smith, they have a lot of money and connections and resources. It's really sad somebody so resourceful, talented, high profile as Nicki Minaj being targeted. It should really scare the American people. It should really scare you guys too, right? Because I'm the daughter, so it's like at this point, if it's happening to me, I think she's really outspoken, and I'm grateful that she's being outspoken on it, because I think she's almost seeing it like, well, it happened to me, it's happening to her, let me speak up on it. Nobody is safe right now.
According to people watching closely, this is why Demaire's warnings resonated so strongly. She wasn't just talking about her own experience, she was describing what happens when someone challenges people who control access behind the scenes. Nicki's response suggests she sees this as a long game rather than a short-term dispute. Her posts frame the situation as something that's been building quietly for years, not a sudden reaction to one event or statement. She appears to believe that truth eventually surfaces, even if it takes time. That belief is what keeps her fans locked in. They see her standing firm, refusing to back down, even when the pressure feels intense and the opposition looks untouchable. At the end of the day, this story sits at the intersection of celebrity, influence, and accountability. Some people see it as a political fallout, others see it as a warning about what happens when artists push back against industry power. What's clear is that this situation has cracked open conversations that many believe were never meant to reach the public. And whether those conversations fade away or grow louder may depend on who decides to keep speaking and who decides silence is no longer an option. As this story continues to unfold, one thing is becoming harder to ignore. This doesn't look like a simple misunderstanding or a temporary celebrity clash. To a lot of people watching closely, it feels like a pressure test. What happens when an artist with real influence decides not to play quiet anymore?
I think she's standing up for me because she has been through some trauma and some abuse with Roc Nation, with Desiree Perez, with other individuals. They've abused her. They've abused of her platform. They've abused of her talents. They've abused of her freedom of speech. They've abused her family. They've attacked her husband. They've attacked her child.
Nicki's supporters believe she crossed an invisible line by speaking too freely, not just about people, but about systems. And in an industry built on silence and favors, that kind of move can make powerful figures uncomfortable fast. What makes this situation stand out is how familiar the pattern feels. Allegations surface, attention briefly shifts toward uncomfortable details, and then suddenly the narrative changes direction. The focus moves away from the claims and onto the person making noise. Fans say that once that switch happens, it becomes easier to dismiss everything else as chaos or controversy. Whether that's intentional or not is up for debate, but the result is always the same. The core issues fade while the spotlight turns elsewhere. There's also a deeper conversation happening here about access and control. Music isn't just about talent anymore. It's about who gets invited, who gets cleared, who gets backed, and who gets quietly ignored. When someone is allegedly labeled difficult or problematic, doors don't slam publicly. They just stop opening. Supporters believe that's the real power move being used here. No announcements, no receipts, just distance. And in a business where momentum matters, that kind of silence can be loud. Nicki's refusal to retreat is what keeps this situation tense. Instead of stepping back, she's leaning into her stance, even when it brings backlash. To fans, that reads as someone who feels she has nothing left to protect and nothing left to lose. Whether people agree with her choices or not, that mindset changes the entire dynamic. It turns a behind-the-scenes conflict into a public standoff. And once that happens, there's no easy reset. And on the other side, Beyoncé and Jay-Z remain largely silent, which only adds to the speculation. Silence can mean many things: strategy, distance, confidence, or simply not engaging. But when power stays quiet and controversy keeps growing, people start filling in the gaps themselves. That's where theories grow, narratives spread, and lines get drawn. And once that happens, the situation takes on a life of its own. At its core, this story isn't just about Nicki, Beyoncé, or Roc Nation. It's about how much power exists behind the scenes and what happens when someone challenges it publicly. Some see this as a cautionary tale. Others see it as overdue exposure. Either way, the industry is watching closely because moments like this tend to shift things, even if the impact isn't immediate. So whether this all boils down to politics, personal history, business interests, or long-standing tension, one thing is clear: this situation is far from over. Too many claims are out there, too many people feel invested, and too many questions are still unanswered. What happens next depends on who decides to keep talking and who decides silence is no longer working.